All right, Michelle, I'm going to begin.
Okay, excellent. Welcome to
Welcome.
everybody too.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Michelle Morin, and I'm a member of the Bates College Alumni Engagement Team. I'm happy to have you here with us today, attending our fifth and final program in this year's academic year's Alumni Professional Development Series titled Crush Imposter Syndrome, a natural reaction to living and leading courageously. A few housekeeping items of note. This program is being recorded. If you have questions throughout the program, please enter your question into the chat function. Attendees may upvote questions. Throughout the presentation, the speaker will check in with me to answer questions that have been submitted. Given the time we have allotted for this program, any questions that are saved until the end will be answered and included in the recording. The recording will be shared with everyone later on this week or early next week. With all that behind us, it is now my pleasure to formally introduce today's featured speaker. Leveraging extensive corporate experience, Michelle Claffey and her company, Claffey Leadership, specialize in co-creating highly customized engagements to meet the unique needs of clients and to serve as mechanisms to increase effectiveness, spark new possibilities, and generate optimal conditions for leaders, teams, and organizations to transform and thrive. Michelle supports leaders and teams to stretch and accelerate their development and impact by boosting overall leadership and team skills, identifying blind spots or obstacles that trip them up, noticing patterns of behavior and thinking, envisioning new paths and choices, and achieving bolder outcomes. As a certified coach throughout the International Coaching Federation, Michelle holds certificates from several world-renowned training programs, including specialties in team coaching and facilitation. Prior to starting her company, Clappy Leadership, Michelle was a research and people leader at Pfizer and brings to coaching 15 years of organizational and team experience. Then to add to her accolades, Michelle is a proud Bates College graduate from the class of 1994. Happy 30th year reunion, Michelle. Following Bates, she went on to earn her doctoral degree in chemistry from the University of California, Berkeley. Needless to say, Michelle is incredibly accomplished, and we are so fortunate to have her with us today. Without further ado, please welcome Dr. Michelle Claffey. Take it away, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate your really kind introduction. I cannot actually remember the last time somebody referred to me as Dr. Claffey. But thank you. Yes, I'm really happy to be here. Bates graduate from 1994, can't believe it was 30 years ago. I won't be attending the reunion. I did thoroughly enjoy my years at Bates, and I'm really happy to be back to serve the community in this way and to give back and contribute something. So to all of you, I just want to say welcome, and I'm really happy you're here, no matter what the reason is that you are here. Imposter syndrome is one of those things that can actually plague us at any point in our career, from early, just starting out, all the way to the point of when you get to the point of executive levels, or you're sitting at a bigger leadership position or at more leadership tables where you feel, I don't know, just uncertain, insecure, not sure you fit in or belong. So, or at points in your career where you might be considering, okay, what's my legacy that I want to leave here at this point in my life? And so imposter syndrome can show up at really any point in your career and life. And so we're going to focus in on that a little bit today. And I just want to see, this is always the first slide, making sure we can advance it. There we go. So welcome, everyone. And really, I hope that you take away a little something from this. I hope something from this presentation is a little bit sticky and leaves with you in a way that helps you shift something in your life in just a small way that can potentially have an even big lasting impact. So whether it's a new reflection, a commitment, a mantra, you'll see some of the tips and the tool that we'll walk through. Hopefully you leave with something that really resonates with you and that you can take away. That being said, I cannot see your beautiful faces, so feel free to add your questions and answers and comments to the chat or the Q&A. And Michelle is helping me monitor that. So please do it that way. I love to create experiential experiences for people. So part of this will include a little bit of a self-reflective journey for you. So welcome. And we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to get started by me sharing at least one of my imposter syndrome stories, and really kind of the biggest one that I faced initially in my career. So if you join me, it's 1999, and I just earned my PhD in organic chemistry from UC Berkeley. And as I'm about to travel back to the East Coast to start my neuroscience medicinal chemistry career at Pfizer, where I was actually a summer intern for 3 years, I'm immediately plagued with massive amounts of self-doubt. So I doubt my worth, I doubt my qualifications, I doubt how I got my job, I doubt my chemistry knowledge. Am I the only one here without a PhD, without a postdoc? So, and in this male-dominated field, I also noticed that my male counterparts are being invited out for beers, golfing, fishing, etc. And honestly, I get it, because it's awkward to invite the young female colleague out to social gatherings. And the scientists that I work with, they're amazing. They're highly talented, skilled, really helpful, collaborative. They're great, yet I don't feel like I fit in. And so here I go in this picture. If you notice on the screen, that's actually my picture from the announcements when I first started at Pfizer back in 1999. And so along several years into my career. So also, the other thing that I wanted to share with you here is that in addition to not feeling like I fit in, I'm now entering a field of neuroscience medicinal chemistry. So that includes much more than just chemistry. So now I'm a beginner and a novice in the field of drug discovery, which includes everything from medicinal chemistry to pharmacology, toxicology, drug metabolism, and even at that point, let's just add the cherry on top of supervising others, which was completely new to me. Honestly, my first lab associate, the first thing he came to me, he was 20 years older than me, and he showed up and he said, "So you're my new boss." That was the way he greeted me the first time. Now we grew to develop a really close working relationship, and I really enjoyed working with him, and he supported me throughout my years there. Yet this was the point at which I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, am I where I'm supposed to be? And so it's no wonder it took me over 5 years to overcome my imposter syndrome. And a few years into it, I actually went to my department head because I had an internal offer for another position within the company that was outside of chemistry. And her advice to me was to get thicker skin, which I understand there is some validity to that. Yet it didn't really address the needs that I had in that moment. It wasn't the most supportive thing. Yet I decided to stay. So I stayed, and I continued working with other colleagues, with peers on a variety of different projects. And ultimately, I began to understand and appreciate that we all had unique gifts and talents and contributions that we brought to the table, including my own. And in doing this, I ended up, developing myself as a scientific leader, a people leader. I created collaborations. I developed people and teams as well, and led through major organizational changes and mergers. So while I established myself, I still, 15 years into my career, I opted out. And I opted out so that I could pursue my passion for people development, leadership development. And that's when I retrained as a leadership and team coach. And so that's why I'm here with you today, with a decade of experience as a coach and with oodles of personal training, which is no doubt a scientific term, of course. And I'm here because I'm building a wave of authentic and audacious leaders who are willing to crash the status quo and propel meaningful change. And I do this through creating transformative coaching journeys and experiences, and also classes like this one to help share what I've learned through my own journey and experience, and through working with many others. So welcome. I'm really happy you're here, and I look forward to helping you shift a little bit, to learn a little bit about imposter syndrome, to learn a little bit about yourself and how you can address your fears and your doubts along the way, and to raise your voice, confidence, and visibility as well. So thank you for joining me. And if we would, so I want to get started by actually having you drop in the chat, what are the signs of imposter syndrome for you? When does it show up for you in your life? Go ahead and add what are the signs, and then I'll advance to my slide that shares some of them. But let's see what you come up with. So we often have, like, some things are along the lines of anxiety, the fear and self-doubt, which I've acknowledged, shown on this slide as well. The chat is disabled. Well, that explains why we don't see any responses. It does say to host and panelists. Okay, so we'll move forward to the next slide, and maybe Michelle,
Yeah,
able to
we
figure that out.
can, yeah, I'll try and figure that out. In the meantime, though, they can drop their answers into the Q&A at least, so we can at least see them in the meantime, but I'll work behind the scenes here.
Yeah, great. And if not, we'll roll with it. If you feel free to use the Q&A to drop your as a chat. So some of the things that on this slide here are shown some of the signs and symptoms of imposter syndrome. So feeling like a fraud, having a loud inner critic, like what is it that goes on plays on repeat in your mind, right? The self-doubt that shows up, the anxiety and worry. And if it's really bad, the anxiety can be debilitating for some people. So constantly second guessing yourself, replaying things in your mind, your fear of failure, which can sometimes lead to perfectionism, being overly prepared, holding back your voice, comparing and proving yourself, like feeling the need to constantly prove yourself. So thank you, Sarah. Sarah is when she compares herself with professionals with more experience. Yeah, isn't that a fair comparison, right? Okay, I'm going to compare myself to someone that maybe has, years more experience than I do. Ian shares that submitting professional writing. Yep, the chat is working. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Ian, for sharing as well. Yeah, so they're all different areas where our imposter syndrome, our fear, our doubts, our inner critic can actually show up and come into play. And what's the impact of this? So the impact of this on individuals often can be the poor health and well-being, right? The anxiety, the worry, sleep deprivation, whatever it might be, could self-sabotage or self-limiting career advancement opportunities. I know for myself, there were times where I'm like, okay, I'm not ready for that. I'm not going to step into that, even though it was something that would have been a great way for me to expand my comfort zone and expand my skills, but I held myself back. So confrontation, someone also shared that in confrontation to give negative feedback is hard. That is challenging. Having the feeling like you can actually deliver that with authenticity and clarity and without fear of, like, if you're a people pleaser. So people pleasers often have a hard time delivering tough feedback. So this hesitancy to take on new opportunities, right? So you end up with lower productivity, lower opportunities oftentimes. You inhibit your creativity as well. So there are a lot of impact. There's a lot of impact that it has on individuals. And then if we go to the system, so what about organizations in the system? There's also an impact on our organizations, on our businesses, and on the systems as well, which includes the overall performance, lower engagement, lower effectiveness. You end up with less innovation, creativity, and risk-taking because people are inhibited by their fears. They don't put their opinions, their voice, their ideas out there. Lower employee retention can also be a result of this when people don't feel like they fit in or belong. You can have less, it makes for less connection, less fun, less cohesion, less collaboration, all of these things. So here's the thing. So my invitation is to all of us is to help our own selves individually overcome our imposter syndrome so that we can bring ourselves confidently into the world with our unique gifts and talents. And to also help in the space of businesses to create the environments where people feel like they belong, where people feel safe to share, that they feel supported, they feel valued, so that people actually can share and work collaboratively, and to be able to offer up differing viewpoints that are not necessarily, that may go against the norm, that may be different from others around them, but that by sharing those differing opinions, you actually lead to better end results. Now it's interesting here because 78% of career women, executive women, actually have reported experiencing imposter syndrome at some point in their careers. Now, here's the kicker too. For men, it's almost as high. So this is not really a gender specific situation. And imposter syndrome isn't really a medical malady, right? It's not something that can be diagnosed at the doctors. And so what my invitation here is let's normalize it. We might all know the phrase imposter syndrome, and it helps us understand and have a common language around it. Yet let's normalize that this is the fear and the self-doubt and the worry that often shows up as we live courageously, as we step out of our comfort zones to try to be a beginner at something, to do something new, to rise to the next level in leadership, to rise to a new position, to expand, to be a beginner in a new field. Like, it's normal to have some fear and self-doubt show up. And so then how do you support yourself? Who do you find to support you as well? How do you support others who are in this space and grow? And so that's what we're going to focus on a little bit here today, because honestly, a good majority of clients that show up and work with me suffer from some level of imposter syndrome. Like, take, for instance, I have this client, we'll call her Madison. So she showed up, she'd just been promoted. She's in an IT industry that's also a little bit customer facing. And she's immediately flooded with imposter syndrome and doubt and worry and concern that she's not going to measure up. She feels like she's inadequate with all the tech and the metrics and everything like that. So we dive in and we uncover what her values are and some of her limiting beliefs. And we tackle these and we help her reframe them. And she begins to notice that what her unique gifts are is really around the relational leadership and the way that she interacts with others, the way that she helps resolve conflict even. And before long, her confidence, with just a few short months, her confidence has really boosted, really elevated. She begins to see what her unique value is to the organization. And within 3 months of us working together, she actually ended up in an even more expanded role when they asked her to take on a whole nother division. She's actually a smashing people leader, and she's really great relationally. And it's just that the tech and the metrics were not her area of expertise. She knew enough, but she worked with people whose expertise were in those domains, and hers was in weaving it all together, in the relational component, in her ability to lead, in her ability to address conflict and help resolve that within the customers and within the organization. So, let's dive in. I'm going to help you do a little bit of that here, guide you through a little bit of an exercise to do that as well. So let's start. So my first tip for overcoming imposter syndrome is to really get very clear on your values. Know your values. And this sounds a lot easier than it really is. So take a few minutes, because if you're aware of your values, they're what's guiding you and leading you through your moment-to-moment choices. So let's help you align your moment-to-moment choices with your values. Because one option, if you have option A and option B, option A might align with one of your top values and option B with another top value. And those are the most challenging decisions, because when your values are split between two different options, it makes it really hard to choose. So we'll get clear on that. We're not going to dive into this in great detail because we're going to focus on the second tip that I have more. But if you want, you can consider the peaks and valleys in your life. At the high points, what values were being honored or met? At the low points, what values of yours were not being met or were crossed? At times when you're really angry, when you're emotionally triggered, what value is at play that is not being met in that moment? So take 2 minutes now. I'm going to invite you to take 2 minutes and jot down what you believe your top values are. So if you wish, go ahead and add 1 or 2 of your top values into the chat. I know, my top value really in life is fun with others. So I really enjoy being, not just fun. I mean, I can have fun alone and etc., but I really enjoy fun connecting with others. I'm from a really large family, and to me, spending time laughing, connecting with others is really important to me. So even in a retreat that I just led, there's a lot of there's a lot of fun components that were woven through the experiences, including toys in the opening introduction section. So I try to weave the playfulness in. It's a little harder online, I find. So we have courage, care, stewardship. Someone shares, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Kindness, integrity, and honesty. Yeah, when you get to know what your values really are, then your moment-to-moment choices and decisions can align with them. So it's not a should, I have to, I'm supposed to. It's none of that. It's you're actually at choice. You get to choose. So then you choose without resentment. You get to choose in that moment what actually is best for you, what aligns with your values, what value do you want to honor in that moment. So honesty, authenticity, respect, self-care, joy, community, and connections. Love it. Yeah. So try to focus in and get to know your values. And if you need help doing that, if you're not really sure what they are, then take a few minutes to figure that out. And also figure out what your unique gifts are. What are the gifts that you bring that are unique to you? That makes you you and makes you the leader that you are, which is different from the leader next to you or different from the leader that you even really admire. So knowing your values and unique gifts and aligning around them can actually really help because it gives you clarity in your choices and helps you see that you're at choice. Okay. Although living in alignment with our values can actually be very courageous and challenging, and you may end up disrupting your status quo, your relationships when you start choosing something that's more authentic to you. So authenticity, I'll just share here, authenticity is really important. And oftentimes from very young ages, we give up our authenticity for attachment, to be loved, to fit in, to belong, to be successful, to achieve, to be whatever, to be viewed a certain way. So notice your authenticity, invite you to track your authenticity. And where are you truly aligning with what is true for you? Where do you trade your authenticity at times for the sake of fitting in, for the sake of people pleasing, for the sake of, not upsetting somebody, whatever it might be. So I invite you to pay attention to that because in those moments, you're likely not aligning with your values. Okay, so second tip for facing and crushing your imposter syndrome is around noticing your limiting beliefs. Identify what your limiting beliefs are. Now, limiting beliefs, it's those messages, there's the negative self-talk that plays on repeat in your mind, the negative self-talk, what keeps you playing small when you compare yourself to others, the I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I should be this. There are also rules, whether written, whether verbally stated, rules that you've been taught throughout your life too, that may come from your family of origin, may come from the communities in which you live, might be cultural as well, the cultural implications and rules by which you're expected to abide by. Pay attention to those. So some of them, but noticing what it is for you. So the interjects, the things, the silent rules, the unwritten rules, the limiting beliefs that show up when the fear and self-doubt are at play for you. And what's powerful is reframing them. And we'll do an exercise in a minute to actually do that. But go ahead and take a few minutes. So so I'll just give one of my limiting beliefs years ago. So this is a really powerful exercise. So I'd known about limiting beliefs and everything, but it wasn't until maybe it was 6-7 years ago when I actually went through an exercise to identify my top 5 limiting beliefs and then actually reframe them. And reframe them not just in opposite statements, and we'll get to that in a minute, but like some of my limiting beliefs were around not being able, like I don't speak well off the cuff. I'm not good at presenting. I prefer to just sit in the shadows. I prefer to stay on the sidelines, sit in the back of the room, right? And when I finally reframed the way that I show up and speak and share and present from that to I speak from my heart, it freed me. It freed me from worrying about the outcome. It helped me with the way I wanted to be as I presented. So it helped me show up more authentically, and it helped me just share from my heart what I had to offer and what I was saying without worrying about the specific outcome in the moment, without going to my head and being like, okay, what was I going to say? What am I saying now? What did I just say? Oh, what do I want to say next? What are they thinking? Like, someone's referred to it once as the head editor. So if you all have, or any of you do have a head editor that is constantly assessing and judging you as you speak, start to notice that. See if you can quiet that. So for me, the I speak from my heart allowed me to just be very present in the moment and share authentically what I had to offer. And I wouldn't be here with you today if I hadn't done that, likely. So, so go ahead, take a few minutes and jot down your top limiting beliefs. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. I'll read a couple more just so you get an idea in case you're not clear what they are. I had a list of some of the ones that I've worked with people on, with leaders at times. So there's, I'm at a lower rung. I have to figure out my next big thing. I feel I have to say yes. I've not been confident. I'm a people pleaser. I need to prove myself. The things in life that are worthwhile engaging in must be hard. I can't maintain consistency. I have highs and lows. Let's go ahead and take another minute, minute and a half or so. And as you wish, feel free to add any of your limiting beliefs to the chat when you're ready. If people that are willing and open to sharing one, that'd be awesome. There are often common themes too amongst all of us as well. So while they're all very personal, there are common themes. So someone has shared in there, not as smart as Ivy League grads. Yeah. Won't be able to manage my stress level. There's a right way to do something and I don't know it. There's like two woven into that. Yeah, so when you notice your limiting beliefs show up, it's also a chance to get out of your head and check in with your physical existence, because those limiting beliefs are at play in your head, yet they actually live in your body as well. Your felt experience will also help be an indicator that something is going on for you. Like you'll notice it physically before you even sense that message playing on repeat in your mind. So I'm not a good artist, not meant to be an artist. I'm not sophisticated enough. These are great. Thank you for sharing. Don't have enough experience. Yeah. All of these, they can be debilitating. So, and they're very personal for each person. And if you can powerfully reframe them, which is a little bit of a heady exercise, and it's also an invitation to shift your way of being. So that instead of worrying about the outcome, worrying about whether you're good enough, worrying about judging yourself, you actually get to choose in the moment how you want to be. So what are we going to do here? So take one of your limiting beliefs. Start with one. And I shared my reframe of from the I don't speak well off the cuff, I don't integrate my thoughts quickly on the spot, to I speak from my heart. So a reframe, a positive reframe, is not just taking it and converting it to the opposite statement, right? It's not, I'm a perfectionist. Okay, I am not a perfectionist. No, it's like you have to actually find the thing that resonates with you, that is the key to like what will allow you to show up to be your best self. So if a year from now you can be 10x, not just 2x better, like where you're just working harder, let's go 10x, let's go really big. If you want to be 10x better, more successful, more whatever it is, more comfortable, more confident, what is it? How do you need to be to get there? What is it that you want to shift? How do you want to show up? So when your limiting belief shows up, what is it that you want to do instead? So some of them, I feel I have to say yes, that person shifted it to, I have a choice. There's someone on a masterclass call that I had as well that had shared that she always felt like she sat on the sidelines and her opinion and ideas didn't matter. And she shifted hers to, I am value added. That was her reframe that really resonated with her, to lean into the fact that she does have value to add, to use her voice, to open up, to share it, to not hold back, to not play small. The people pleaser shifted it to, it's reasonable for me to have requests. The need to prove myself. I am an asset. Person shifted it to. So it's all very personal. So take a few minutes and see if you can rewrite yours. Rewrite one of yours. Try to shift it to an I am statement. So you want a little mantra that you can connect to when you notice your limiting belief showing up. Go ahead. If anyone has one that they want to offer up, feel free to add it to the chat as well. Don't judge. Don't analyze them either. Just go ahead. Whatever comes to mind. See what you play with it. It can take a little while to find something that really resonates with you. Love it. The person who had shared, I'm not sophisticated enough, reframed to, I am down to earth and authentic. I love it. Although it doesn't really matter what I think, honestly, but go forward with that. Try it out, test it out, tweak it as you need. I'm still capable of changing and growing my career. I've enjoyed many aspects of my life while feeling stuck professionally. Yeah, you're capable of changing and growing your career. Absolutely. Your moment-to-moment choices will determine your future. So in your moment-to-moment choices, what do you choose? It's how it works. You create this lens through which you now make choices, a new lens, a new awareness, which illuminates a different set of possibilities and choices that lead to a different set of results. It's like holding a flashlight. Depending upon which flashlight you're holding, you might be illuminating a different set of choices that lead to different end results, if that image is helpful for you. Yeah. So the woman that had recently entered an executive level and felt that she was at a lower rung and that her voice really wasn't important, she ended up shifting it to, I am keeping it real and my voice makes a difference. And the power of shifting it to that and noticing in the moment is that it creates awareness for you to then choose. So if we look really as you shift your limiting belief to a positive affirmation reframe, you get to, the invitation is to notice when the limiting belief shows up. You have to create new awareness. You have to create in the moment noticing and pause. Pause to be aware that it's even happening, and then adopt your reframe. Notice whatever your reframe is of the situation, use that as your lens through which to make a choice. So if we play with the I'm down to earth and authentic, if I'm down to earth and authentic, what do I choose in this moment? What do I want to choose? What is going to serve me better? And here's the thing, you can still choose what you've always chosen. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no right, wrong here. It's just creating new awareness and conscious choice in the moment for what is best serving you. So I trust myself and I'm always open to learning. That was another one. Thank you for sharing. So in this, when you notice your limiting belief showing up, notice your limiting beliefs show up, pause, and then connect to your positive affirmation. If I trust myself and I'm open to learning, what do I choose in this moment? What do I choose? And what do you choose in that moment that also honors your values, right? Connect it to your values as well. So if I trust myself and I trust my values, what's really knowing who I really am at my core and what's important to me, what do I choose in this moment? And it may be uncomfortable. It may be different than what you've always done. But stepping out into the discomfort of something new and trying out experimenting. So I'm a scientist, right? We experiment at your learning edges and see what works for you. No judging, no comparing yourself to others. You're good right as you are today, and you can keep learning. You can keep tweaking things in the direction that you want to go for yourself to come back to being more authentic and true to you. If there are any questions, feel free to. If anyone has any questions or comments, you can add it to the chat or to the Q&A. Okay, so we'll keep going. Yeah, so your values and beliefs are consciously or unconsciously running your inner operating systems. It's really running your whole physical existence as well. So it's not just we live in a culture where it's really head up, right? Or top down thinking, our thoughts, our mind is what's valued. We've been, trained for the academics, for the achievement, for the head, for the intellect. And so what I invite people to do, and what these tips and tools do, is help you reconnect to your physical existence, to your take in information from your whole body, the inner wisdom that's within, and reconnect to it. So the noticing, when your limiting beliefs show up, when you're feeling uncomfortable, when you don't feel confident, what's actually happening for you? Notice what's actually going on for you, not just in your mind, but in your whole body. Notice where you carry your tension. And usually crushing imposter syndrome is about developing confidence. We want to be more confident typically. If we were more confident, we wouldn't feel the effects and the signs and the symptoms of imposter syndrome. So what I want to share now is this view of confidence as well. So the values, your unique gifts, and reframing your limiting beliefs are all a little bit of a heady exercise, with the invitation to be paying attention to and noticing your physical existence and wisdom that comes from within while you do it. But it helps create, so confidence overall is really built in I think it's a personal journey for all of us. So notice where you are on your own confidence journey, where you've come from. So notice where you are that's better, like where you've gained some confidence, where you've built confidence. We all can build confidence through experience, through one new task at a time, through challenging ourselves, stepping out of our comfort zones. There's all the fake it till you make it type things as well that you can try on. But really, I think true confidence, especially as I've experienced it, is when you can create this harmonious and connected relationship with yourself. When you get to know yourself really well and who you are at your core, before the world told you should be something different, before you gave up your authenticity for achievement, attachment, success, belonging, to fit in, whatever it might be, who really are you? Connecting back to that self-discovery so that you know who you are and you can support others to be their best selves. So it's accepting yourself as you are without the shame or the judgment. Just accepting that you are where you are on your journey. And then bringing the level of authenticity, integrity, and alignment with who you are, with your values, with your beliefs. Noticing which beliefs are running your operating system. We may want to be one way. We may want to be confident, yet our limiting belief is running things behind the scenes. So until we can be aware of it and pause and try on something new and consistently rewire that habit pattern, we'll continue to fall prey to our limiting beliefs. So noticing it is one of the first steps. The other thing that really builds confidence that I end up working with people on a lot, especially since I'm completing a 2-year equine therapy training program, which is a lot about like working with horses, helps you recognize when people are congruent. When does your inner operating system, when does your inner existence actually match your words and what you're projecting outward, the energy that you're giving off? Horses are great at noticing when somebody is incongruent. They want congruency. They don't need you to be calm. They need you to be congruent. So if you're angry, they want you to be angry on the outside. If you're calm, great, be calm. What horses notice and pick up on, because they are congruent, there's only the here and now for them, is whether or not somebody is incongruent, whether or not there's a disconnect between what you're showing on the outside and what's actually happening for you on the inside. And so this attunement to all your senses, to all your emotions, your instincts, your intuition, as well as your intellect. So building up your attunement to your whole system and the interconnectedness of it all, to be able to manage and regulate your energy and your nervous system. And in your energy management and nervous system, so this comes to leadership presence. How do you show up as a leader energetically? What are other people sensing when you walk in a room? What's the energy that you're conveying? It's not always about being calm. Are you congruent? Are you congruent with what's happening inside for you and what you're sharing outside? Can you take down the protective barriers that allow people to actually see and feel and sense that? Can you be a leader and be powerful? And powerful in the Dewey Freeman, I'll credit him for this, he's a master therapist. Powerful in the sense of to stand in your power is to have the ability to influence and to be influenced while in relationship with another being. So I'll share that again. Power is the ability to influence and to be influenced while in relationship with another being. And in contrast, control is what we do when we don't trust. So all of this, building the confidence, helps us build our ability to be powerful as we are, as our unique selves, and to share that with others. So to trust yourself in any situation, because you know what your values are, because you know how to manage and regulate your energy. And as a result, you're powerful too, because you can help co-regulate with others. When you walk in a room and you sense the energy of a room, that's a big deal. People can sense your energy. Take a minute and consider what person, leader, whomever in your life do you admire or notice their ability to manage their energy for the situation at hand in a very effective way that helps support others in that moment. It could be the person, the leader that in a crisis is really great at still remaining calm and focused and providing the structure and clarity while acknowledging that it's hard and it's difficult. So I invite you to pay attention to these things, to really get clear, because the heady exercise of knowing your values, knowing your unique gifts, and actually even the reframing your limiting beliefs is a little bit heady at first and invites you into the here and now of the moments when your limiting beliefs show up, for you to disrupt your old habit pattern and to choose something that serves you better, to use the lens of your positive affirmation to be at choice, to choose something different than you might have in the past. So those will be the initial starting points oftentimes. And there's always a limiting belief that tends to show up when working really with any leader that I work with. There's, I listen for them, whether we do this exercise with intention at the start, or as I hear the limiting beliefs show up at play, that are at play for this individual. So that's one way of doing it. And to deepen into it is really the embodiment piece. How do you get out of just your head? How do you live from your whole existence and tune into the wisdom of your body in a way that really serves you and helps ground you and helps you navigate the challenges of life? Yeah, fear and self-doubt, they're always going to show up. Let's normalize it. It's going to show up when you step into bigger arenas, when you do something new for the first time. And it doesn't have to be debilitating. It can just be acknowledgement that, yeah, okay, this is a little scary. I feel a little scared doing this. I'm a little nervous because I've not done this before. And I'm okay. And I'm going to go through it and I'm going to learn something from it. And this aligns with my desire to actually show up in the world this way, to contribute in this way, to lead in this way, whatever it might be. So I invite you to really dive deep, really get clear on your values, reframe some of your limiting beliefs, and what really is the gift that you uniquely bring. What is it that you're known for? What are the things that you would do no matter what, just for fun? Those are likely your gifts to be developed as well. So pay attention to those things. And really, really see if you can live as authentically as you can and aligned with those values, with your gifts, all of it. Check in with yourself. Where do you trade your authenticity in a moment for the sake of something, for the sake of whatever it is, to not upset somebody, to not rock the boat, to fit in, to not have to go through the discomfort of doing something new? Who knows? Where do you trade your authenticity? Where might you be able to be even more authentic? And where do you want to step outside the edge of your comfort zone? And for the sake of what? What might it be? If anyone wants any help further with this, you can always jump on my calendar. You can book a complimentary call. I'd be happy to help you reframe whatever limiting belief is actually holding you back. I can share, I can pop it into the chat here. Let me see, I have to get out of. I think this will go through, but maybe not. The scheduling a call with me did not show up. The link didn't, but if anyone wants to book a complimentary link and work through some of this with me, feel free. There you go, if you want that. I'd be more than happy to work with you and to help you reframe those. Let me go back to my slides. And really, overall, I really encourage you to just face your fears and your doubts so that you can be the authentic, inspiring, audacious leaders that you're meant to be, so that you can live your dreams. You really can, one moment, one choice at a time. Just be clear in your choice, what you're choosing. What values are you honoring or not honoring by any choice in a moment? What lens are you using to see something? Is it the fear and self-doubt that are holding you back? And maybe you choose to be held back at times, and that's okay too. But where and when do you choose to step forward? Do you choose to step into the discomfort? Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah. So any questions that anybody has? We have a few more minutes. Happy to answer some questions, to share a bit more with you around any of the topics that you might like to dive into a little bit deeper. Glad you appreciate it. What's one thing that you'll take away for yourself? Anyone want to add that to the chat? Please do. Even if you're not adding it to the chat, note it for yourself. What's one thing that you want to take away, that you want to commit to doing, that you want to start just noticing? It all begins with noticing, that first step of just noticing and the awareness. Create new awareness around something. We have to become keen observers of ourselves in order to actually build and change and shift and grow, so that we aren't just being tugged in whatever direction. I read something this morning It was the Ennea Thought for the Day, which is from the Enneagram Institute. And they were talking about so that we don't have to be like marionettes, where there's a puppeteer that's like tugging at us, pulling us in different directions. If we get to ground ourselves and be confident, then we're not being pulled in all these different directions. We're at choice. We get to be our own master. So I encourage you all, go be your wonderful, amazing selves and reach out if I can assist you with anything. I am here. I love what I do. I shifted careers for a reason. I used to notice patterns in drug discovery. I'd look at large data sets, also coupled with intuition to design new molecules. And now what I do is I really just notice all the patterns in human behavior, in team dynamics, and what serves us well and what doesn't. And I couple it with intuition too. So you can use whatever you want. Notice your patterns, use your intuition, learn to trust yourself. It's a huge part of it. And it starts with being really authentic and aligning your choices moment to moment and trusting that right here in this moment, you are good as you are and at choice. Let me know if I can support you in any way. I don't see any questions coming up, but feel free to add them if you'd like. Yeah, the transforming, somebody shared, love how approaching transforming limiting beliefs leans into our authenticity. And it really does. If you can connect with who you are and be really comfortable being who you are, you build that confidence. So it doesn't matter what arena you step in. It doesn't matter if it's the first time you're doing it. You're willing to have compassion for yourself, which is what builds the compassion for others as well. You don't have to be perfect. Imagine that.
I love that, Michelle. You don't have to be perfect. You are as you are. That is sound advice. Absolutely.
Yes, it's so true, even though we get hung up on it at times.
Mhm.
You don't have to be perfect. We're good as we are. We have value
Yes.
to add. You
Yes.
can contribute. Anything for you, Michelle? Was there anything that stood out?
No, I mean, just those closing, it's that simple statement that I know it was at the end, so it almost sounds funny, but it's like, you are who you are. And that's a great thing. That's okay. And I mean, I think that is like the piece de resistance. Like that is exactly what we need to stick. Be
Yes,
proud, be confident. Yeah.
yes. And so much of this and confidence is built on coming back to your truest self. Like, how can you be your truest, best self? And remove the layers of what you've adopted, what you've put on top of yourself, the pressure you've added, society's added, somebody else has added for you. Who knows? Come back to who you really are and live from that place, and you're good. Trust that you're like, it's okay. You're good. You're okay. Our world's okay. We're going to be okay. It can be
Yes.
crazy. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you very much, Michelle, for
Yes.
the invitation to share here. I really appreciate that. I also appreciate that I get to go to Maine this weekend again. So I'll be
It's warm weather up here. We hope you have a great time in Maine. Yes, it's nice and warm, beautiful pre-summer weather here.
excellent. Excellent.
Oh,
Well, I will
great.
wave to you when I'm there.
Well, perfect. Michelle, I mean, we can't thank you enough and Clappy Leadership enough for sharing this important program for the Bates community. As you mentioned, I hope something sticks and is sticky for folks who tuned in for this here. I
Yes.
also want to thank all of you for joining us today, and I hope that you found this program to be insightful and helpful. Please be on the lookout in the days ahead for a follow-up email, which will include a recording of the program. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Be well.